Have not been turned down, but we are now.
Welcome everyone to another Fireside Chat. Happy to have you join us today with these two special, wonderful guests we have,
Yes.
Nabila and Rex Benincasa. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
Good to see you. Before we get started, Mark has a couple quick announcements he wants to.
Well, a quick announcement. They really, because I just realized that this day is a kind of a special day because every second Sunday of March is actually called Planetarium Day, which celebrate planetariums around the world. And and so I'm into astronomy, so I had to mention that. But even more, there's something even more interesting here, and I wish I have to do something here to really be able to do what I'm doing.
Isn't it National
No,
Pi
it
Day?
is also Pi Day. Pi Day, PI like the pie, but also pi, I guess, so you can play a word, because it's 314,
314.
which is 314, which is the first three number of pi.
Okay.
And last but not least, it's also Albert Einstein's birthday. So
Wow.
Okay.
it's a heavy day.
We're big into science over here at Buckyball, so we got to throw that in. So, segueing into the arts, and
Oh,
I know
yes.
it's a loaded question. How are you guys holding up?
Okay, we're okay.
Good.
We're very, very fortunate. We live in a wonderful building with a lot of great neighbors.
Great.
Everyone's doing very well. We're very busy, keeping ourselves healthy,
Great.
mentally and physically.
Yeah, awesome. Well, that's great to hear.
Yeah, that's the big thing. You have to make sure you've got that bedrock first.
Exactly.
That you're staying,
Yeah.
first of all, that you're not going over the edge crazy. If you can manage that, then
Yeah.
and keep everything, all the outrageous stuff down to a murmur, that's best.
Yeah.
So that's what we're applying ourselves to, and we're eating well.
Beautiful. I'm sorry?
So that's that's good.
Eating well.
Oh. Yes,
got
I
our
can
mental
agree
health-
with that. We're definitely eating well. Throughout
And we've
the
got our
whole. Yeah.
mental health counselors here.
Oh,
We have
yes.
we have our furry mental health counselors. We've got another one around. He's around. He might show up.
Yeah, I believe his name is Dr. Furry. I think that's
Oh.
what he's called, right?
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, during the whole pandemic, and we still do it, Mark and I go on the city bikes down to shop at Trader Joe's in Chelsea because it's a lot less crowded than the Upper West Side. We're in Hell's Kitchen. And we bike back with the groceries and everything on our bikes. So we get a little exercise. So when we eat that, those chips and everything, we feel not so guilty about it.
When you eat all that strawberry shortcake,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, and you feel like, yeah, but we rode a bike down there to go get it and back.
Every time you eat a little more, it's a little less valuable.
Yeah.
The share of the biking you lose. But
Yeah.
then you have to go bike again.
Then we have to get on the bike again, but it's all good.
Yeah.
So why don't we
Well-
start out with you, Nabila? Tell us a little bit about your style of dance, how you got into it, and then we'll segue into this beautiful video you're going to share with everyone.
I do Middle Eastern dance, commonly known, in the Western world often as belly dance. It really is folk dance. If you were to name the dance after a body part, it would really be hip dance, but we collectively as dancers call it Middle Eastern or Oriental dance, because that's the proper name for it. It was given the name belly dance for publicity and titillation purposes in the 1890s. So it never quite lost that reputation. We're trying to promote the more artistic aspects of it, which is really what it is. I have been a classically trained Western dancer. I have a degree in dance from Tisch School of the Arts at NYU. And Middle Eastern dance was the only kind of dance that I could find the time to take lessons in at one point after graduation. And I absolutely fell in love with it. I had seen dancers in nightclubs in Sacramento sitting on my dad's lap. He took us to see all kinds of restaurants, that had floor shows in those days. There were Hawaiian dancers at the Hawaiian restaurant. There were belly dancers at the Greek restaurant. It was that kind of era. And I remember sitting on his lap and giving the dancer money. And it was never a bad thing. It was just, that's the way it was. So
Right.
in the far back of my mind, I always had that, forgot all about it, and became a bunhead and a modern dancer and all this sort of stuff. And when I rediscovered belly dance, I was absolutely enthralled, and I never left.
Never
I
went
also
back.
continue to take that. I
That's
still
so
take
great.
modern dance and ballet classes because I still want a Western dance skill set to draw upon when I want to. And so that's kind of my story.
Well,
Um,
I guess we can all relate to that. Like we're all classically trained, but then we love jazz or other styles, So I can totally relate to that. And also, I just want to mention we have something in common. I'm also from California. I don't know if you knew that. I grew up in San Luis Obispo.
oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's very close. That's very
Yeah.
close.
So we're like psychic connected West Coasters.
Yeah. Psychic.
No.
Right.
Well,
Psychic.
some people
One,
say.
one of the things that really that is near to my heart with this form of dance is the close relationship the dance has with the music. All dance does, but this form of dance in particular, much like Polynesian dance or flamenco, the dance and the music must go together. There are, of course, occasional exceptions, but as a rule, they do go together.
Mhm.
And a lot of Western dance forms right now, meaning ballet, jazz, theater, and all of that sort of thing, they're going through a virtuosity of speed phase. And it's just like, how fast can you go? How much higher? How much more athletically extreme
Right.
can it be? And that's not a bad thing. That's just the way those dance forms are, particularly right now. This particular form of dance relies much more heavily on the dynamics of the music. And as a dancer, you must you must learn about the cultures. You must learn about the different regional kinds of music. And it is a never-ending discovery and delight of the music because it's accessible, but it's different, and there's always something new to learn. Having a musician in my life personally, as well as knowing a variety of them in my life to call upon for help and advice and assistance and whatever, is very, 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 very helpful. So I have been blessed in many, many ways. And the whole reason I know Rex is because he was a percussionist for my favorite modern dance class in college.
Aw, that's so sweet.
Coming from a town where we took ballet and modern and jazz or whatever with records or recorded music, to come to college where everything was live and it was absolutely the best of the best. Every time somebody new walked into the room, regardless of what kind of instrument they had, it was like this new and delightful wonderment.
Yeah.
And so here we are,
Well, and
by and by.
you make such a great point. Another reason why it's been so hard for us, for everyone mentally, because that energy is lost right now. I mean, it's wonderful to talk to you guys through the computer, but it's nothing like having you in our living room with us. And we're all yearning to have that back, right? So it's just to
Yeah.
recognize it and know it'll be over, but we're dealing with it the best we can now, you know.
That's right.
Yeah.
Thanks to you.
Well,
Yeah.
that's part of our mission. Keep us going, keep moving forward, and get through it together, you know. So can you give us just a little background before we show your video, Nabila?
This video is very genre specific. In terms of this dance form, the root steps are not that large in terms of vocabulary, but the ways they can be done are very specific to each culture and very, very diverse stylistically. This particular project was for a show called Vintage Oriental this past summer, which I was invited to be a part of. It happens every year. A teacher in New York City puts it on, and the whole thing is you must present a work has music style, dance style, costume style, prop style, whatever it is, within a certain framework of time, meaning I would say pre-2000 or pre-1990, something like that. This video pays homage to those cheesy videos of Soharazaki, Nagwa Fuad, all these dancers that you would have seen on recordings, and the film style that they had in the early video days. And also think of the TV show The Monkees, how they would have those musical interludes and the kind of camera work and the sort of zeroing in on, you know, cheesecakey girls and things like that.
Yeah.
And that's the look I was going for. And also they did not go to great lengths to be culturally correct in terms of the music, the movement and the music, the way they do today. We are very culturally aware now, or we're
Sure.
supposed to be, as a dancer. Belly dances and Middle Eastern dancers in general try to be very, very culturally aware and astute and responsible. And in those days, they weren't quite so much that way. That being said, this piece of music is by the great Muhammad Abdel Wahab, who's one of the high on high composers of the 20th century. So it is an authentic piece of music, but the orchestration it's got just that right flavor for this project.
Great. Well, let's watch it
Just the
now.
right amount of cheese, I guess.
Yes, exactly.
Right. So beautiful. I just love it.
I have a nerd point to point
Okay.
out to our audience. The jewel in the navel, not a traditional thing.
Mm.
It's stylistically accurate for that genre and that time period. You don't do that today. Shame on you if you do that today. That's like American cheese shtick. So that's, when I went to see belly dancers with my father as a child, they wore a jewel in the navel. Now it's like, not traditional. We don't do that.
Okay.
So
That's interesting.
that's just,
But that's specifically why it's in the video for this.
that's specifically why it's in the video, and that's why I am professionally obligated to mention it.
Okay. But I have to say, when I first watched that, I was like, it makes you want to move. I mean, it's just, I'm starting to gyrate over here, It's just
Good.
very
Good.
uplifting
Mission
and just
accomplished.
beautiful. Yeah.
Good.
And what park are you in at that point? Are you in
That's
Prospect?
Prospect Park.
Oh, nice. Yeah. When I saw that, I was like, I think that's Prospect Park.
At 5:30 in the morning.
Wow.
Not too crowded there.
Yeah. Yeah, you
before
wanted
the
to be alone.
dogs and the bicyclists and the things. One of the great things about those videos in those days was that the music's going and the dancer's still dancing, and all of a sudden she's like in a totally different location, or she's floating in space, with 3 versions of her or something like that. And I thought it was just like, a terrible idea that's cheesy and good in that way. So
Yeah.
I wanted
Yeah,
to
I
do
know.
that.
Worked beautifully. Very nice. Yeah, great. So thank you for sharing that with us. And Rex, Mr. Play of
Yes?
Daniel, cabaret drummer, all
Oh,
around.
oh yes, yes. What hat am I wearing today?
I don't know.
Well, composer hat, rapper hat.
Okay, all right. Yeah, that's true.
Auteur.
I'm auteur today.
Tour.
Auteur,
We're
yeah.
going to discuss your oeuvre,
Yeah,
your
okay.
work. But yeah, because you played drum, percussion for the Play of Daniel. You've done all these different things, but your real specialty is these videos you put together that are just fantastic.
Well, thank you. I like doing the videos because it allows me to sort of be in control of all the various parts that are there. And I hear so many rhythms that are layered because I come from an African kind of background with the music style of drumming where everything is interlocked. And I like to hear all these different sounds and layers and textures. And
Polyrhythms?
so I like to record and then put the videos together and show what's going on, because a lot of times in music, something important will be happening and it goes by unnoticed because there's no visual reinforcement for it, and people need to be sort of reminded, like, oh, is that what that is? Is that what that instrument is? Is that what it looks like? And is that the technique that is being used to play that particular sound?
Mm-hmm.
So I like to write and orchestrate with pretty thick, busy. I'm busy when I write.
Cool. Well, and I noticed one of your videos, 1001 Drums, has like that 17,000 views or something on YouTube. That's quite an accomplishment.
And that might be because of the title, but that was the first video I ever did. And that was written as a belly dance number for Nabila
Yep.
to perform with. And it's 14 players or 14 separate parts. And every time I show, each part has the player, me, is wearing a different shirt and playing a specific instrument. And every time that instrument is used, then, I'm wearing that shirt and that instrument. So that's how that's organized.
Okay.
So there's
That's
14
cool.
different players essentially on that one.
That's great. Quite a wardrobe
That
change.
was fun to do that. I actually wrote out an entire storyboard on where I wanted the camera to be, and and how it was I wanted to pan it, and what I was going to. I took it seriously. That was my first shot at iMovie.
Yeah, great.
That was pretty fun.
Really well done. So tell us a little bit about this video we're going to see that I understand you put together during the pandemic.
I did. I put it together for a project that was with a group called Millennium Chamber Players. And I had a 2.5 day notice that they wanted a solo to be part of their virtual concert presentation. And besides the pieces of music that the rest of the ensemble was going to be performing, and I would just arrange a part and play a part for that, I had to come up with a solo thing. And the director, Alex Wu, said to me, well, why don't you do one of those poetry kind of things like you did the last time? And I said, okay. So I had to write a poem and kind of come up with some kind of a verbal presentation. And I kind of spit it out very, very quickly. And I put together some things to it. And then I refined it right after that because I had a minute to do it. I had a minute to add a couple of parts and to edit some of the speaking and all that. And the rhythm that I used was based on some samba. And the reason why that's important for this period of time is because during this shutdown thing, I've been working out with a batucada samba drumming ensemble called Manhattan Samba. And I go with my friend Mark Flacco to Flint Holland over to the West Side Highway in the meatpacking district over by old Little West 12th Street. And we meet with a bunch of people in a meatpacking parking lot. And we practice samba grooves. So I took a couple of those samba grooves and decided, well, being that's what I'm working on most recently, that's what I will use as the background tracks for this verbal spewing.
Mark has a history with that similar ensemble, no?
Uh-huh.
Not that ensemble, but I have a mic problem. Okay, I guess we're going to share a mic like this.
I can hear you.
Okay. Well, yeah, no, I mean, in the 80s, I was in a samba group for like 5 years, I think.
Yes.
And we played in the clubs, and I learned all the trade.
Yeah. Were you playing at SOBs?
No, we were playing in every other place but SOBs, So SOBs was somehow. Well, there was one band called Petty Boy. Right, I don't know if you remember them.
Sure,
they had the lock on SOBs, so there was the samba band. No other samba band. I mean, maybe if you come from Brazil, they might have been able to play in SOBs, but no other local samba band could play there. But I know all the guys there. I mean, it's kind of a scene. It's a Brazilian scene. I'm sure we had
some similar friends and acquaintances there. So while I was doing, learning more about that, I'm playing the caixa parts, and because I got, the caixa, I got the stick chops to do it. I learned a few conga rhythms that were not included traditionally in samba, as you know, no congas, but there have been ways to sort of transfer the rhythms over to conga parts. Right. And then I was doing some bomba parts and some regular, ganza and shaker things and stuff like that. And so I just kind of blended some stuff together. But that was new stuff that I had learned during the pandemic. And I think that the speaking and the writing that I did has to do with an issue that we've had in this country for a while, and that is unity. That's like that was the big Q word. That was the clue. And the original assignment was, write something about how music unites people. And I was just like, all right, I got 2 days. So I wrote this thing out. And then I did my best to, shave off the rough edges and to do a recording of it. And that's what you have in your possession.
That's pretty cool. Well, why don't we listen to it?
Okay.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. All right, that wasn't bad.
Unity is loaded. Unity is heavy because there can be so many ingredients that make it so weighty. To achieve unity requires acknowledgement, recognition, understanding, respect, and willingness to make a concerted effort to bring together sometimes diverse cultures, each with their own loaded baggage of yore and far-flung ideas, perhaps brewed in mysterious gullies, historic wastelands, and hollows. Loaded cultures of solidified hesitation, hopelessness, desperation, and survival instinct being uncomfortably force-blended with the optimism born of high ideals, mountaintops, fine vibrations, and visions, hoping to achieve a mashup of the former barely malleable, practically immovable cornerstones, and the latter high, wispy dreams, each warily circling the other, both needing but not always wanting to know what the other is or isn't about. Yes, unity can be loaded. Loaded with questions such as, what should unity be and promote? How far do we cast our nets to try and gather fellows to the table to break bread featuring a mulligan stew of ideas for unification? Cultures loaded with mutual unfamiliarity and hesitation, inexperience, fear, and anxiety, being truly unified to become a cooperative, well-meaning, all-inclusive, common goal-oriented unit. How would we do that? Where would we start? We've never done that before. But wait a minute, yes we have. If you recall and consider one of the most satisfying activities and pastimes known to we the people, music and music making. Do you remember singing with friends in grade school, choir class, church, or synagogue? At football games and other sports events, playing instruments in the elementary school band, high school orchestra, jamming in the garage, dancing together in the school gym and at local clubs? Well, all of those great social activities and performance efforts included music and had all started out loaded with social unfamiliarity, hesitation, inexperience, lack of skills, fear, and anxiety. But we applied ourselves and learned to think, play, sing, and ultimately smile and dance. Starting with determination, practice, nerves, and support for and from one another, we found that music and music making is an indescribable mulligan stew of mindfulness, esprit de corps, exhilaration, positive intentions, and ultimately something greater than the sum of its individual parts. We the people have sung. We the people have played, created, listened, and danced. We the people have been unified throughout our lives by music and music making. Both are fine teachers using techniques of cooperation and method, showing us a way across common and uncommon ground and how to realize more universal unity. Music can do that. That's because music is heavy. Music is loaded.
All right. Awesome.
Whoa!
What was that instrument?
The stringed instrument.
Oh, that's a hurdy-gurdy. That's a medieval model hurdy-gurdy.
Hurdy-gurdy, yeah.
Yes.
Very cool.
Yeah, that's not a samba. That's not a samba bag thing.
No.
Yeah, Mark was like, there's a bit of Irish sprinkled in here.
Well, it's
I think
Irish
like-
samba, you know.
Well, and
Yeah, that's
mulligan
because there's
stew.
there are a drone string or two that you use. So that's got that bagpipe gaika sound to it. You know, you have one string that's always being bowed constantly by the wheel, maybe even two strings that are being bowed constantly by the wheel. And then you have a chanter string up on top, which is the one you play with the buttons. And that's the one that has got a constant tone, and then you get various pitch, then you get your melody out at the top. So
Yeah.
it's like two drone pipes and a chanter pipe. It's the same idea.
Great. Oh, it was a great
Cool.
piece. Very timely.
Yeah,
And
that's
welcome.
yeah, that
Yeah.
thank you.
I'm going to think of that mulligan stew of ideas, and unity is loaded. Yeah, and music is loaded. That's quite prophetic.
Okay. Good. Good.
So let's have some live performance, shall we?
Okay.
You guys ready?
Yeah, Nabila is going to perform a piece called Mariam Marianti, and this is an ensemble called the Göksel Yılmaz Ensemble. Now, this is a very well-known tune that's been covered by a lot of different ensembles. It's like a standard, and it's been arranged a bunch of times. And without any further ado, no. With further ado,
No problem.
who knew? I don't know why. Anyway, so I'm glad you like the video. I think that the content of my video was timely. It seemed to make sense. It was a kind of an assignment. It was an assignment, but it made me think, you know, and it really is. It's interesting that the techniques that you use to put an ensemble together and to work with all these various parts and combinations of instruments, sections, and styles of music, they can all be sort of brought in to work together, and the same kinds of techniques that you can use to get people to feel comfortable and understand what's happening in other parts of the ensemble.
Right.
That's the thing. If people can understand that they can listen to what's happening in the string section, they will know how to accompany and help them from the brass perspective and from the percussion perspective. And then the idea, of course, is to support the lyric and the singing. And that's the whole, everybody can work together. And so there's techniques that you learn in music, and from music making is a good place to try to pick and choose some of those ideas and some of those modes of operation and apply them to daily life. And I just think that if more people had the experience of performing live music and working with live music, or if they can remember what it was like to do that, then they wouldn't be so quick to just lunge at each other's throats.
Yeah. Well, there is some people that do conflict resolution with music. Either
Yes.
singing or percussion lends itself to that, where
Yes.
you know, parts of interlocking, like you mentioned, and
Yes.
that actually, you know, make people, you know, because as we all say, music is 90% listening, right?
Right. Yeah, it is. It should be. And leaving some spaces is a fine thing.
Yeah.
Okay. I hear.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
So we'll move along.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Here we go.
مريمتي وعيني مريمة ومريم مريمتي عيني مريمة والقلب مجروح بده مرهم يا دل بده مريمة مريم يا دلي الشعر متدلي وعسكر صممني خطفوا مريم يا خي أخذوا مريم ولبست البني وقلعت البني ولبست البني قلعت البني وصلك جنني والله يا مريم اي والله عيني مريم ومريم على سطوح والشعر عم يلوح ومريم على سطوح والشعر عم يلوح والقلب مجروح بده مرهم بده مرهم ومريم مريم وعيني مريم ومريم مريمتي عيني مريم والقلب مجروح بده مرهم يا ويل بده مريم
All right.
Okay.
Brava, brava.
I have to say I was just amazed that
Thank you.
you didn't end up in the couch at some point. I mean, it's just some control of space here. Yeah.
Nabila is
Oh, I have in the
absolutely
past.
beautiful, and it just
Thank
made
you.
I have a smile on my face the whole time. It's just so joyful. Thank you.
It's a beautiful song. It's hard to sit still during it.
Yeah.
It's hard to stand still doing it. So, you know, I turn it on, I let it go. It's totally improvised. It's what I'd
Wow.
call a formalized goofing off. So, you know,
Beautiful.
here we are.
Great.
So anyway,
Well, thank
the
you.
next thing
Yeah. So
that
now we're
we
gonna
are
have
going to do-
a drum solo with dance improvisation, right?
Yes.
Okay.
What you're going to see is a drum solo. Rex wrote me a recorded drum solo, as he said before, 1001 drums.
Mhm.
This one is improvised, it's live, it's more true to the form. The thing is, in every single belly dance style that's performed on stage, there's a traditional part of the show called a drum solo, whether you're doing it as an Egyptian show, a Turkish show, an American cabaret show. The drum solo is a traditional part, and it's a special interlude for the dancer and the drummer to kind of work together. It's supposed to be playful. A show, as everyone knows, you need to have a number of dynamic elements, and a drum solo is certainly unique to this dance form. Every single instrument in a Middle Eastern dance show, if it's live music, will have a solo, whether it's an entry taksim or a taksim in the middle of a song or a solo. in the middle of a song. Each instrument at some point during the show will probably get a feature. The drums, however, are so important in Middle Eastern music that they get a whole number all to themselves. They're that important.
Wow.
Those drummers.
We don't get a chance to work together as frequently as we would like.
Yeah.
And so these days we don't. It's one of my favorite things about doing shows in nursing homes or other congregate living facilities is that we get to work together in, more often than we otherwise would. So it's very special. It's, like I said, it's totally improvised. I'm not really sure what he's going to play. Neither does he. I don't know what I'm going to do. Neither does he. And we're gonna see what happens. So what happens here is only going to happen once. It's never going to happen again, for better or for worse. And here we are.
Sounds like a good marriage, Nabila.
That's right. And so far, so good.
Awesome.
All right, let's go.
Okay. Oh my goodness, you guys. That is just spectacular.
I still didn't land on the couch
Yay!
or
Ah.
kick the cat.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much for just making March so much brighter. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
It was
Thank you
just
for having us.
fantastic. And everyone,
Opportunity to be here.
oh, just totally so our pleasure.
Yeah.
And everyone, thanks for watching. Please check out all our videos. I mean, now we get to add belly dancer and Middle Eastern percussionist to our
Yeah,
list of
that's right.
videos. And we'll see y'all in 2 weeks. Thanks for watching.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.